Hello everyone, this is chapter 6 entitled Norsemen and Normans, where we are going to continue our investigation of the development of English language and how English was influenced by different factors and different languages throughout its history. Um, our focus on English in particular started with the previous lecture or with the previous chapter, where we started to know about the English language, the seed of English language, how it is or how it started in uh, how it was planted like in Britain, right? Because Britain, as you know, was not or didn't have English native speakers at the very beginning, as the original inhabitants were the Celts, as you know, who spoke Celtic language. So, with the invasion of the Anglo-Saxons, English began to be spoken in Britain, um, and uh, and we have had a look at the different uh, Anglo-Saxon dialects, the literary dialects, uh, the dialects from which English, our modern English, like evolved, and so on and so forth. So here in this chapter, we are going to continue um, this kind of investigation where uh, we uh, we would know more about the different languages that affected English language. All right. So as you see, the chapter is entitled Norsemen and Normans. So you can regard this chapter as being divided into two parts, actually, the Norsemen and the Normans, as the chapter title indicates. So the first part would be the Norsemen, and Norsemen might remind you of something we have talked or we have mentioned before. It comes from Norse. Remember Old Norse? Remember from where Old Norse has descended? Old Norse is one of the Germanic languages, actually. However, it is different. It comes from a different branch other than the branch from which English has evolved, as English has evolved from the West Germanic uh, um, branch, whereas Old Norse is or has evolved from the North Germanic branch in particular. So they come from one origin. This is Proto-Germanic language. However, they come from different branches. Okay. So this is Old Norse. So who are the speakers of Old Norse? Okay, this is what we are going to find out. It is these people, the what we know as or who we know as the Vikings. So this is the Old English period or late Old English period. As you know, the Old English period or stage started with the invasion of or the coming of the or the advent of the Anglo-Saxons. Here we are talking about the late Old English period. So what happened exactly in this period or this stage? And when we say who, okay, we are talking about two non-English speaking groups which invaded Britain as well. So the two non-English speaking groups are actually the title of the chapter, the Norsemen and the Normans. Okay, all right. Actually, both groups were of Scandinavian origins. So they have one single origin, okay? However, every one due to different reasons come to speak a different language. So the Normans are speakers of French language, However, they are of Scandinavian origins, and of course, the Norsemen are speakers of Old Norse. Okay, so the first group is known as Scandinavian Vikings, and they spoke Old Norse. This is the group that we are going to focus on first. Okay, and the second group has settled in northern France and they spoke French. However, they are both of Scandinavian origins. The first group are speakers of Old Norse, and or whereas the second group who settled in northern France are speakers of French. The Scandinavian Vikings movement to Britain in particular marked the last phase of Germanic people expansion in Europe. And why did they move? What are the reasons for their or that pushed them to move to another place other than the place where they were originally settling in or inhabiting? This could be for overpopulation, lack of resources of the place they are originally coming from, the custom of leaving the inheritance to the elder son, which would lead typically to or usually to conflicts between the elder and the younger sons, political conflicts that lead many noblemen into exile. Alright, so these are the possible reasons for the Scandinavian Vikings movement to or expansion into in Britain. So, what is the thing that the Vikings were best known for? The points of strength of the Vikings, as you see and as you can tell from the picture, they were excellent pirates, actually, pirates. So they were excellent traders, it is true, yet more well known for their piratical attacks. How is this reflected through the word itself, through the word referred or used to refer to them? So in Old English, this is the word Viking was Viking, okay, and it means originally a pirate. So the origin of the word Vikings, it means pirate, alright? And the Old Norse word was Vikinger, okay? So you can see the resemblance between both words, Viking or Viking and Vikinger, where the word itself means pirate, alright? And the resemblance is here because of the fact that Old English is West Germanic uh, language, whereas Old Norse is the North Germanic language. So both languages descend from the same origin, Germanic. All right. The word records Scandinavian assets and skills, so points of strength and skills as navigators. Okay, not just navigators, not just simply sailors, but they were also strong and powerful pirates. The Vikings started their first attacks by the year 800, and the invasion was not like a one strike invasion, but it was gradual. It took time, took years. Okay, in spite of King Alfred's attempts, so King Alfred was resisting, and he tried to hold the south and west against their attacks. However, the conquest, okay, the Vikings completed their settlement in England by the last few decades of the 9th century. Okay, so who are the Vikings? Who are these people? Right, let's have a look at the Vikings structure. The Vikings are made up of three groups, three basic groups. The first is the Swedes, okay, and they headed eastwards to Baltic countries and Russia. This tells you that the Swedes did not head to Britain, right? All right, the Danes, this is the second group, and the Danes settled in these places. Of course, these places are in Britain, nearby Shire, Yorkshire, and you can tell from the names. Norwegians, and the Norwegians, this is the third group, and they settled in Cumbria and Lancashire. All right. However, the Danes and the Norwegians together, they are typically referred to or named by the Anglo-Saxons collectively as the Dani or the Danes. So the Anglo-Saxons named the Vikings who attacked England in general as Dani or Danes, though there were Norwegians among them. So this name, Danes, was given to Norwegians as well, the Norwegians who particularly attacked England or Britain, right? So we have these three groups. The first group, as you see, headed somewhere else. It headed towards Russia and the Baltic countries. This group has not headed to England. However, the Danes and the Norwegians, they settled in England, or some of the Norwegians settled in England, and both of them, the Danes and the Norwegians, are named as Dani or Danes in Old English or by the Anglo-Saxons. All right. So you can see here the movement of the uh, Vikings ships towards Britain, different places in Britain, as they scattered in different regions in Britain. And you can see the date here. It started, as we said, the Vikings attacks. The first Vikings attacks started by the year 800, okay, and it continued, or they settled there till the year 1066. Okay. So now we are moving to the how the language, the Scandinavian language or the Old Norse affected Old English or affected English in general. So the Scandinavian influx has left its influence on English, place names in particular, among other things, and this can be traced through the following examples. We have some elements Scandinavian in origin that are still attached to English place names until this moment. Okay, so here we have by, the word by, or the element by, because this is not a word, this is like an element attached to here grim by. This is one example among many other examples which contain the element by, and you can notice that. So by itself, this is an element that means village or homestead. Okay, so we have green by, we have thorp, the element thorp. Uh, this element means secondary settlement, and you can see it attached here to or in the word or in the place name Grimsthorpe. We have the element loft, okay, meaning building site, plot of land, in the word or the place name Langtoft. And we have thwaite, woodland, clearing, meadow. This is the meaning of this element, and you can see it in the word or the place name Micklethwaite. Okay, so these are all Scandinavian in origin. They are not English elements. Okay. All right. So specify the ancestor of English and Scandinavian languages. What is the ancestor? The ancestor is, as we pointed out before, and as you already know, is Proto-Germanic. North Germanic is the origin of Old Norse, or from where Old Norse descended, and West Germanic is from where Old English descended. Was there a difficulty for both parties? This is a very important inquiry here, in question here. Did they understand one another? I mean the Anglo-Saxons. and the speakers of Old English and the speakers of Old Norse, did they understand one another, or they were unintelligible for one another? So was there difficulty for both parties, the Anglo-Saxons and the Scandinavians, to understand one another? Okay, you can answer this question. So was there a difficulty? Actually, both languages were so close to one another. Why? Because simply they are both descending from the Germanic branch. And English was a West Germanic, and Old Norse descended from North Germanic, as we said before. And there were, however, several bilingual situations in the late period of Old English. There were Englishmen who speak Old Norse, and there were Danes who speak English. Okay, so at this time, and due to the coexistence of both parties or both groups in the same place for a long time, so this generated a situation, a bilingual situation, where one person would speak the other language, his original language and the language of the other. So we would find Englishmen that speak Old Norse, okay, also Danes who speak English language. See how things are becoming like mixed and intermingled to some extent, and this situation by itself like lead to an influence on both sides or from both sides. Any English language or Old English would affect the Scandinavian, and Scandinavian would influence Old English. This is the typical situation that we have here. So we would have Englishmen speaking Old Norse, the Scandinavian language, and we would have Danes. طبعا Danes, we said that Danes could be Norwegians, could be Danes, and they speak English language. And also we have children of mixed marriages who spoke an intermediate language. Intermediate language, يعني languages that combine both linguistic features from both languages, from Old Norse and from the English language. So which one of the two languages triumphed over the other? Which one succeeded or dominated in this situation? Actually, English did over Scandinavian. So English is the triumphed language, or the one who achieved success or victory over the Scandinavian or the Old Norse language, yet after greatly getting mixed with the English. Okay, due to the previous situations that we talked about or referred to here, we have bilingual situations. We have Old Norsemen speaking English language or Scandinavian speaking English, and we have English people speaking Old Norse, right? Also, we have, so this is bilingual. They are speaking their language beside the other language, and we have children who are born of mixed origins. Maybe their father is Scandinavian and their mother is English, so they would be raised speaking mixed language, Old Norse and mixed with English. However, the English language it يعني triumphed here and dominated. Okay. However, after being affected and influenced greatly by the Scandinavian language. So, is there certain ways to distinguish Scandinavian words? Okay, is there any sign to identify or to be sure whether a certain word in our English lexicon is of a Scandinavian origin or of English origin? How can you point out or specify or mark words of Scandinavian origin. Uh, actually, yes, there is a sign which is phonological, the phonological form, okay, which can tell you and can be indicator for whether a word is in English is actually of a Scandinavian origin or of in English origin, okay. So neither front vowel mutation nor palatalization took place in Old Norse. So palatalization and front vowel mutation have not affected Old Norse. Palatalization means the conversion of like the ga to ya. Okay, so ga, which is a velar sound. Of course, you know that the ya is a palatal sound. So the this kind of alternation has not affected Scandinavian words. So, for example, the word ig, you can tell from the pronunciation of the word ig that of a, it is not of an English origin, but of Scandinavian origin because of the pronunciation of the ga as ga. Okay, in English, this would be in Old English, the ga would be pronounced as ya. Okay, so the palatalization has not affected Old English, yet it has not affected Scandinavian, but it affected Old English. So a word like egg, this is the egg, but in Old English, egg, this is not pronounced as egg, but as a, because the ga, okay, has been palatalized in Old English, yet it is not palatalized in Scandinavian. So ig is of Scandinavian origin. It is not of an Old English or of an English origin. Okay, ig is a Scandinavian word. Okay, so lacking palatalization in Scandinavian. Okay, so palatalization again has not affected Scandinavian in different بقى كمان different phonemes, right? Or with different phonemes. So, for example, Old Scandinavian kept the ka instead of cha. Cha, as you see here, this is palatalized again, okay, cha, and the ska instead of sha for the S plus C sequence. As you know, when we have SC sequence in Old English, this would be pronounced as sha. Okay. However, in Scandinavian, it remains ka. It is ska. Okay. In Scandinavian, it would be ka rather than cha. So Scandinavian in general lacks palatalization. It misses palatalization. It doesn't have palatalization. Okay. So a word like church, is it of Scandinavian origin or of English origin? Here we have the palatalization. Okay. So church is English. So kirk is the Scandinavian alternative of or counterpart of church. Church is English while kirk is Scandinavian. Okay, so kirk because it lacks palatalization. Okay, it is of Scandinavian origin. However, church is of English or this phonological realization tells you that church, this pronunciation um, is English. Kirk is Scandinavian. So they kept S plus K unpalatalized rather than sha. Okay, for the sequence S plus C. Okay, so the ska, it is like kept unpalatalized. However, in English, it was palatalized. So here we have ska, skirt, skirt. This is a Scandinavian word. Skirt. This is Scandinavian kind of pronunciation. Whereas when we palatalize this sequence as sha, This would be shirt. So shirt is English word, whereas skirt is Scandinavian. Actually, both means short garment, all right? Also, there is shrub. This is English, whereas scrub, this is Scandinavian. Palatalization is not a Scandinavian feature. This is يعني, a rule of thumb here. Okay, this is quite a rule. Palatalization, whenever you find a sequence that is realized as unpalatalized, okay, unpalatalized, so this is a Scandinavian, a word of a Scandinavian or a pronunciation of Scandinavian origin, okay. However, palatalization is English, okay? Unpalatalization is Scandinavian, okay? So you can generalize. Alright, so is there anything other than this phonological feature? Of course, there are other phonological features, but for the sake of uh, for the sake of being concise here, we are focusing on certain features. So other than phonological evidence, we can trace words back, the words themselves, not the realization or the phonological realization. We are tracing the words themselves, okay, the lexemes. So the word taka or take in our modern English is not found in Old English, okay? It wasn't there such a word as take or a similar word. Taka, it is not an Old English word. So from where does it come? Okay, the word used in Old English was niman. Niman for taka. This is a totally different word, as you see, a totally different verb. So from where taka or take come into English? Or becomes part of English language or English lexicon يعني. It is of Scandinavian origin, okay? Other examples of Scandinavian words are original Scandinavian words that uh, are borrowed into English lexicon. We have the noun anger, to cast, to die, ill. These are from Old Norse. طبعا these are the modern forms of the Old Norse angr, as you see here. Kasta for to cast, die for to die, and iller for ill. These are all of Scandinavian origins, along with the taka or the verb take. Sometimes there would be the same form in both languages but with different meanings. Okay, this is very, very important here. We have the same form, the same lexicon, the same word. However, in the two languages, they would mean different things. How this happen or takes place? Okay, so in Scandinavian or Old Norse, we have the word gate. In English, we have the same word gate. However, in Scandinavian, it means street or road, okay? And in English, it means gate, okay? So in Scandinavian, it means street or road. This leads to such a word as kirkgate, meaning church, street. So Kirkgate means طبعا Kirk is church in Scandinavian, as you know, because they do not palatalize the K. Okay, so here it is Kirk Gate, meaning church street, Brick Gate, meaning bridge street. Okay, and this is in York and Leeds. Okay, what about Newgate and Aldgate in London are places located at the city gates. Okay, so the word gate has been attached to uh, place names to mean gate in English, and with some other place names to mean street or road, as in um, and as it means in Scandinavian or Old Norse. So the same word with different meanings. The same word exactly, huh? But in Old English it means something, and in Scandinavian it means something else, and it has been attached to other elements, place names, to indicate the same meaning as it is in a certain language. As you see here, Kirkgate meaning church street, as it is in Scandinavian. Okay, and here Newgate means actually gate, as it is intended in English. So the same word, different meanings. So in the previous case, we noticed that we might have single word in both English and Scandinavian. However, it could be attached to different senses, or it could mean different, or it means actually different things in each language. In English, though they are the same word, gate is the same form, different meanings in different languages. Like the case here is different. Here we would have um, an English word, okay, that would have a Scandinavian meaning. Okay, we will see how this works. Okay, for example, we have dream. Dream, as you know that dream means dream. Okay, the famous dream that we know. Okay, type was in Old English this the case? This was dream, or has dream meant dream, the dream that we know, the meaning that we know now? In Old English, actually no. The meaning that we know now is extracted, or it actually comes from Scandinavian, is a Scandinavian meaning, not an English meaning. Because in English, dream used to mean what? Noise, sound, joy, mirth. Okay, so it means something else other than the meaning that we know now. So dream from English dream, yet with the Scandinavian sense of the word domer, as in English dream meant noise, sound, joy, mirth, revelry, and the word for dream was swiffen. Okay, so dream originally means in Old English these meanings, which are different from the meaning that we know now. However, we get the sense of dream, the meaning, the current meaning of dream. We like borrowed it from Scandinavian domer, which is like similar, as you see, to dream, cognate, like cognate words, and we have the meaning, the sense extracted or comes from or borrowed from Scandinavian, domer. Okay. However, the word بقى for dream, the dream that we know in Old English, it uh, it has the word swiffen. So dream, the meaning of dream was located in the word swiffen, was attached to the word swiffen in Old English. Okay, so we have words, an English word with Scandinavian meaning. Okay, let's have another example. We have the word bread. So bread, again, it comes from English bread. However, the sense of the meaning that we know now, the current meaning of bread, the normal meaning, okay, that we know now, comes from Scandinavian again. Okay, so bread from English bread with the Scandinavian sense of the word brød, as in Old English, the word used for bread was half, whereas bread meant fragment. So bread in English, this form was attached to this sense, fragment, or this meaning in English. It didn't mean bread, the bread that we know now, the same sense or the same meaning that we use now. Uh, However, we attach then we like borrowed the sense of the word bread, or the meaning. When I say sense, I mean the meaning. Okay, the meaning of the word bread from Scandinavian. Okay, uh, where the word in Scandinavian was broth, and the meaning of bread was attached, uh, or the meaning of this form, Old English form bread, was fragment, not bread. Okay, so again the word, this is a case where the word is English and the meaning is Scandinavian, because this word, hmm, it meant something else other than the meaning that we know now. Okay. Okay, let us have a look at the loan words and how or whether they differ um, uh, in the early days of the invasion, the Viking invasion, and the later days. Why were there few loan words at the early days of the invasion? Okay, there was no chance actually for conversations between Englishmen and Vikings. So at the early days of the invasion, the Vikings, when they invaded England, when they started their attacks, there was no like chance, of course, between both sides to socialize and to talk. So there was no such a chance between them at the early days. We're talking about the early days here, the early days of the invasion. The words borrowed then were restricted to Viking ships and weapons. All things are related to battles and to conflicts and to war. So Viking ships and weapons are the things that they probably talked about, and uh, the borrowings could be uh, related to these things. However, later, with their settlement in England, of course, the Vikings we're talking about here, they borrowed words extended to reach, and or the borrowed words here extended to reach law and administration. So there has been a kind of expansion in the nature uh, of the borrowed words. Uh, so moving from or being restricted to ships and weapons to law, words related to law and administration, like thrall and law. The word law itself is Scandinavian origin. It is not an English word, and thrall again is a Scandinavian word. However, surprisingly, most of Scandinavian borrowed words were there has been kind of expansion again in the nature of Scandinavian words. They were not restricted to ships and such tools and weapons, nor even to administration uh, and things related to law. However, it even expanded to reach ordinary words. Okay, and the reason of that is that both people share closely similar cultures. Again, they are Germanic people. They are of Germanic origins, talking the whole languages, different languages are, but they are of one Germanic origin. Okay, or ancestor. So many of the words taken over from Scandinavian were homely ones, related uh, to ordinary life. Okay, Can you give examples for Scandinavian nouns, adjectives, verbs that were borrowed by English? The answer here is such common words as sister. These are, of course, nouns. Sister is a Scandinavian word. Leg, neck. You see here, even these are, we call them what? We call them core words. So even some core words have found their way into English language, from Scandinavian into English. So sister, leg, neck, bag, cake, dirt, fellow, fog, knife, skill, skin, and you can see here the ska sequence. It's not sha, okay? Skin and skill. So this is, again, this tells you that these words are of Scandinavian origin, from the form, from the phonological realization of this sequence of sound of letters. We have sk sequence. It's not realized as sha but ska. So skill, skin, sky, again, and window, or are of Scandinavian origin. What about the class of verbs? We have call, drag, get, give, and you can see the g here again, g, g. So it's not palatalized. Raise, take, taka. We have talked about this before. Want, smile. All these words again are of Scandinavian origin. Adjectives: ugly, the word ugly, wrong, low, flat, and loose, all are of Scandinavian origin. So see how common they are, okay, and how some of them are even core words, okay. They are so common words. This tells you that they were so deeply integrated into the structure and the texture of the English society. Okay, so were Scandinavian borrowed words restricted to content words only? Of course, we know that whenever we talk about words classification, we have two groups. We have the content words and, of course, the grammatical words. Content words are words that carry meaning, okay? They are the set of nouns, the adjectives, and so on. However, the other side or the other set of words would be related to grammatical, or words that serves grammatical function, okay. All right, so that, like the prepositions, for example, okay, these are grammatical words, like the set of articles and demonstratives and so on. These are all related to grammatical words. So the answer is no. Even the influence or the borrowing has been or has reached to the grammatical set of words as well. So some function or grammatical words pass to English too. Like, for example, the conjunctions. Of course, the conjunctions is a grammatical set of words. So we have though, till, and until. These are of Scandinavian origin. The pronouns they, them, and their, again of Scandinavian origin. We know that for this set of words, for the grammatical set of words to change, this is big. This is not something easy, okay, to happen. It takes time, and it's not really something flexible to take place in a language. However, it took place, and this tells you again how far the Scandinavian language affected and really influenced and get into the structure of, or the texture of, English language, which were in Old English. Again, we're talking about the pronouns here. We have he, him, and hera. So as you see, Scandinavian pronouns are better, as they are not to be confused with him and her. So he and him are so close to, and hera, of course, for their, him for them, and he for they. They are so close to the pronouns him and her in Old English too, so they are can be confused with one another. However, they are, or they have a distinctive form in Scandinavian. That's why they were borrowed into English language, because they are easier to be identified and are more distinctive in form. Some of the long Scandinavian words are borrowed with their Scandinavian inflection, such as swart, bont, scant. So the ta inflection marks neuter gender and form and adverbs. So some of the long Scandinavian words, here we are talking about borrowing too, are borrowed with their Scandinavian inflection. So the word uh, is a Scandinavian word, and the inflection attached to it is Scandinavian also. So they are borrowed, not only the stem that is borrowed, but also like they are borrowed with their inflection as well. Like here we have wort, want, scant. Here we have the ta. The ta is not part of the original part of the word, but it is an inflection. It is a suffix that is attached, and the borrowing has taken place for the stem with the suffix or with the inflection being attached to it as well. Okay. So the ta inflection marks neuter gender and form adverbs. The word is borrowed not as just a pure or bare stem, but with its inflection attached to it as well. So though normally borrowed words were given Old English inflex. So the rest of any borrowed word would be usually, and this is the default situation, that Old English would borrow the stem and would add the inflection of Old English to it. However, these like set of words, it is limited. However, it has been there, or it happened that the word has been borrowed with its inflection.